church?
Amen.
Hallelujah.
Amen.
It's an honor to be back here.
Amen.
Amen.
This is where the seed started.
Oh, that's right.
A long, long time ago, I used to sit in the 5th row there.
Yep.
Man, it's been a long time.
Yes, been.
Well, to get in the word, where I got my word from was, I prayed on it, and the Lord told me, what is hindering you? Because you got to remember the word affects me first before I can give it to you.
Amen.
All right.
That's right.
So it said, what is hindering me from getting closer to you?
Uh-huh.
So where I'm going to start with is self-denial. If you have you need a topic today. And I'm going to start with one of the greatest stories of a cross. Take you to the beginning of the story, kind of the end. Pilate found nothing wrong with Jesus, saying in Matthew's, Pilate washed his hands in front of the crowd before announcing, I am innocent of this man's blood. Then Pilate ordered Jesus to be scourged in an extreme manner in an attempt to appeasing the mob. When they were not satisfied and demanded the release of Barabbas, they sentenced him. Now, I've done a few research where I went into what scourging is. Scourging was one of the most feared of all punishments. It was a form of brutal, inhumane punishment, generally executed by a Roman soldier using the most dreaded instrument of the time called a flagrum. The flagrum used in scourging was a whip consisted of 3 or more leather tails that have small metal balls or sheep bones at the end of each tail. As indicated in the Shroud of Turin, the flagrum they used on Jesus had dumbbell-shaped small balls. In the Mosaic law, scourging could not exceed 40 lashes, but often the number of lashes were dependent on the cruelty of the executioner. If the executioner did not want the victim to die too quickly, they limited the amount of lashes. Standing beside the victim, he would strike in an arc-like fashion across to expose the weight of the metal or the bone object at the end of the leather thongs would carry them to the front of the body as well as to the back and the arms. The shoulder and arms and legs down to include the calves. The bits of metal would dig deep into the flesh, ripping small blood vessels, nerves, and muscles, and skin. The soldier would change periodically and deliver blows from the opposite side. And coming from Luke 9:23, as he said to them, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me.
Yes.
I mean, whoever heard of self-denial? We are much more comfortable with words like self-fulfillment. And yet self-denial is right there unknowingly and not yet once but repeated in the gospel.
Right.
It seems to me if we are able to be serious disciples of Christ, we need to seriously consider these words. If anyone would come after me, he must deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. There's a second statement that Jesus made that I would like to focus on this evening as well. In John 10:10. Jesus says, I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. We try to get the best of both worlds. We want all that God has to offer, but we also want all that the world has to offer.
Right.
We want them both, but we can't because they conflict with one another.
Right.
Jesus said no one can serve 2 masters. Either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will devote to the one and despise the other. Matthew 6:24. Jesus didn't just carry a 300-pound cross. He carried the weight of the world. Every offense, every commitment was placed on his shoulders. And he carried it all the way to Calvary.
Right.
That what it means to carry your cross, that what you're called to performance. Tough love is conventional love. For better or for worse. For rich or for poor. For sick in health. and love that is willing to nail to a cross for someone else's sin. Tough love is unconditional love, a love that is dictated by someone else. In Isaiah 53:5, but he was pierced for our transgressions.
Right, right.
He was crushed for our iniquities. Upon him was the chastisement that brought us peace. And with his wounds we are healed. The cross is Jesus' greatest achievement. What men meant as an instrument of torture and death, God used as an instrument of life and reconciliation. Here are those who carry their cross with anger and revolt against providence of destiny. Others who are responsible carry their cross with socialism and bearing up against it by violent reactions of pride. The only way to make suffering profitable is to accept it Christianly. That is with patience. The terms of disciples are self-denial, endurance, take up cross daily, perseverance, and follow me. The reason given, because selfishness brings ultimate loss, because sacrifice brings ultimate salvation. There are two great hindrances and impediments of Christianity. The one inward and the other outward. Ourselves, the second is the affliction and the cross of the world. Each man has his own cross, and are there than any principle which will guide us in answering the question, what is my cross? Anything that hinders your highest life in God must be given up. And to give it up may be your cross. Anything that hinders your largest and fullest service for Christ. Christ does not compel us to take up our cross. We are free to refuse it. But remember, no man can go to heaven unless he feels the cross somewhere.
Right.
There must be the cross in us as well as the cross for us. And it is a daily cross, a daily surrender of self. It is easy to make a great sacrifice once, but it's hard to make a little sacrifice every day.
Yes, yes.
For the preaching of the cross is to them that perish foolishness, but unto us which are saved, it is the power of God. 1 Corinthians 1:18. Self-denial sets us up free to live in peace. When we embrace self-denial, we become free to lay down the burdens, or always needing to get our own way. We have the obsession that things go the way we want them to go. And this is one of the greatest things that hold us in bondage. We can spend weeks, months, even years in perpetual stew because some little thing did not go the way we wanted.
Right.
I don't know about you, but I have a hard time with this one. I get really twisted up when things don't go my way.
Right, right.
I have a conscience to remind myself I am in the presence of the Lord at all times.
Right.
And I cannot be in a trivial issue with myself. Because I got to look into myself with self-denial and know that I have to put down my small crosses to pick up my big cross.
Right.
James 4:1 says, what causes fights and quarrels among you? Don't they come from your desire to battle within you? Self-denial sets us up free to be content. The mindset of world or mindset of power, control, competition, and revenge. It's all about me. The world would have you believe that if only you have more things, you will be happy. If you have more power and control, you'll be happy. If you get revenge on those who hurt you, you'll be happy. But all things do is they rob us of our contentment. These mindsets put us in a perpetual bond because there's always more we can have. More we can control, more power to attain, more toys to collect. It just never ends.
Right.
Pretty soon we lose focus of the things that are really important. Our priorities get mixed up. In the end, we find that self-gratification only leads to discontent. Paul wrote to Timothy, but godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into the world, and we can take nothing out of it. But if we have food and clothes, we will be content. That's 1 Timothy 6:6-9. As I come to my close, What I'm trying to say is you can't be 50-50 with this.
Right.
You gotta be all in.
Oh,
And
you
so
gotta right.
you gotta lay down your small promises to pick up your big promises.
Okay,
We're
okay.
traveling down the road that you travel down.
Right.
And we will see few travelers, but we got the Lord on our side. And I'll give it back to Reverend Dixon for the benediction.
Amen.